Hey guys, and welcome to my review of the Justice League Age of Ultron soundtrack by Danny Elfman. Now, just before we begin, I'm just going to say that this is not going to be a positive review. So if you came here looking for someone who's going to jump all over it and tell you how great it is, you didn't come to the right place. If you did come here for an honest review about a score that's quite frankly the biggest disappointment music-wise of 2017, then you have come to the right place. So let's just jump straight in. What I'll do is I'll do a quick overall opinion of the score at the beginning, and then I'll talk about specific tracks, and then conclude at the end with a score out of 10. So, words cannot describe how utterly disappointed I am with the score for Justice League. I usually start off these reviews by describing the score in 2 words. Like, with Thor Ragnarok, I described it as bloody amazing, I think. So, let me just use these 2 words for Justice League. Utter crap. It's beyond awful, it really is. It reuses a lot of music from previous films. Like, it reuses Danny Elfman's Batman theme from the 1990s, and John Williams' Superman theme from the 70s, I think Superman came out. And not only do these themes not belong in these versions of the characters, but they also overshadow all the other compositions made in the film, particularly the 1989 Batman theme. That overshadows everything, including the Justice League theme. I say that with quotation marks, but we'll get to that soon. But it overshadows everything, and it just feels like a Batman film rather than a Justice League film. I don't like that at all. And then there's also blatant lifts from Avengers Age of Ultron, which was Danny Elfman's last superhero project. There are literally bits in the tracks where you can hear Age of Ultron. Like, for example, in one of the cues, I think it's a battle cue, there is a couple notes, and it just takes you right out of the immersion, because you're listening to it and you're thinking, yeah, Justice League, DC, battle cue, and then suddenly Avengers. What the fuck? Where did that come from? Why is that here? It's such a blatant lift as well that I recognised it immediately. And I'll show you later on in the video when we get to that cue. So, when I first listened to this, I think it was on Friday, what I usually do with soundtracks is listen to them once and find a couple cues that I like, then listen to it again and pick out a few more bits and pieces, and then listen to it for a third time just to get an overall feel of it and conclude. So I usually do it about 3 times before I can do my review. So with this score, I listened to it once, I couldn't find anything that really stood out. I couldn't really find anything I actually liked about it, to be honest. But I felt that was going to be too negative a review, so I was like, okay, we've got to find something. So I listened to it again, and I was so bored. I listened to it about 10 o'clock at night again on the Friday, and I got so bored I had to put something else on for a little while, because it's just so boring. It's such a boring score. And it's so disappointing, considering Justice League was my most anticipated score of this year. This is the one I was most looking forward to. And it should have been one of the best ones, and it's just not. But, so the only thing I've been able to find is the battle cues are okay. They're like the least worst part of the score. Yeah, that's literally pretty much one of the only positive things I've been able to find. So now is the point in the review where we get on to the highlights, where I talk about all the highlight tracks and the best ones, and why I think they're the best ones. But there aren't any, so I'm just going to pick out tracks that I think are important or interesting, that affect the score in some way. So we'll jump straight into that. So the first one is the Justice League theme. It's not really a theme, to be honest. The Justice League notes, because there's about 3 of them. And yeah, this is a very disappointing track because it's a 48-second track, and it spends the first 30 seconds just kind of dithering about. Then it starts to build up a little bit, and you're thinking, here we go, here's the superhero theme. And it starts to build into something, and then just cuts off after about 10 seconds. And you're like, what? That's not a theme. That's a couple notes at the beginning of a theme. Where's my 4-minute theme? You know, there should be one. Like the Avengers, for example, had like a full 2-minute cue, and this just doesn't. I mean, this is recurring throughout the entire score, to be honest. The Justice League notes are just, that's it, they're just notes. There's nothing memorable about them because it's not given a chance to be memorable. It's like listening to the first 30 seconds of the Avengers theme. It's not memorable at all because it's not allowed to go any further. It's disappointing as well because there's another track further in the score which is more memorable, but is again just a couple notes, and it's obviously more of the Justice League theme, but there's no full cue anywhere. So you're like, come on, this is Danny Elfman, he's the king of memorable superhero themes. And there's obviously a lot of potential there. You can hear it, but it's just never used. You know, I looked through the score expecting to see a 4-minute Justice League theme end credits cue or something, but it's just not there. And it's so disappointing because the main theme, especially for a film like the Justice League, there really needs to be a memorable, long theme. Otherwise the score doesn't really work. Because there's nothing better in the Avengers film than hearing that Avengers theme playing while they're all stood around in a circle fighting bad guys in New York. That is one of the best scenes of Marvel movies. And, I mean, I'm sure that scene happens in the film, but it's going to happen with a really bland set of notes that are not at all memorable, because there just is no theme. And it's just really disappointing. So then we move on to the next track, which is Hero's theme. I'm not quite sure what this is supposed to be. What's it for? Is it the Justice League theme? Because it is just bland heroic music, to be honest. It's not memorable really in any way. But I'm not quite sure who it's supposed to be for, because if it's the Justice League theme, then why isn't it called the Justice League theme? Why is it called Heroes theme? Maybe that'll be explained in the film. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, so it's 4 minutes of, frankly, bland music. It's not really memorable in the slightest, which is so annoying because this is Danny Elfman and this is Justice League. Where's the memorable music? I'm certainly not going to be coming out of the cinema humming the main theme of this because there isn't one. I just don't have the words. I really don't. So let's get on to the next track, which is Batman on the Roof. So here's where we start to hear the 1990s Batman theme by Danny Elfman. Now, personally, when this was announced a few weeks ago that Danny Elfman would be using themes from previous films, like the John Williams Superman theme and his Batman theme, I was against it because I personally don't feel these themes belong in this particular franchise. Like, the Batman theme was made for Michael Keaton's Batman, and that Batman's universe. It wasn't made for Ben Affleck's Batman, who's completely different. You know, I appreciate he's the same character and all that, but he's not really. It's just it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially the John Williams Superman theme. But we'll get onto that later. But yeah, so there's a 1989 Batman theme here, and I mean, it's a good theme. It just doesn't belong in the film. So the next track is Wonder Woman Rescue. Now, here is the only piece of Hans Zimmer music you're going to find on the score, which is, I mean, I'm lost for words. I really can't for the life of me understand why I didn't use any of Hans Zimmer's music. We'll get onto that when we hear the John Williams Superman theme later on the score, though. But yeah, so you've got a more orchestral version of Hans Zimmer's Wonder Woman theme here. I'm not going to lie, I don't really like it. I know that sounds bad because all I've been doing is dissing Danny Elfman for this entire video. But it just doesn't sound as good. Like, I think it was Rupert Gregson-Williams who did Wonder Woman earlier in the year, and his version of it was great. It was such a nice rendition of the Wonder Woman theme, but this orchestral one is just not very good in Wonder Woman Rescue, and the original one was better. Yeah. And then we get onto the villain's theme in Story of Steppenwolf. I mean, it's a very dark theme and a very kind of overpowering and, standing over you dark theme. It's not memorable in the slightest, and it is kind of reminiscent of Batman's theme, the 1989 one. But, yeah, again, it's just not memorable. It doesn't stand out, is what I'm trying to say, and it's just generic. Generic villain theme. So then we get on to, I was about to say highlight, one of the least worst cues in the score, and that's one of the battle cues, the tunnel fight. I mean, it's got some nice battle cues in there. It's very reminiscent of the Batmobile and Batwing themes in the 1989 Batman score. This whole score sounds very 1989 classic superhero score. But the problem with that is, in order to have a proper classic superhero score, you need a proper classic superhero theme. And they just use Batman in this film rather than a proper Justice League theme. So it doesn't really even work as a classic superhero score. Yeah, so you get about 6 minutes here in the tunnel fight cue of some battle cues, which aren't that bad. I mean, I didn't dislike it. Yeah, I mean, that's literally all I've got to say about that one. I'm going to take a breath for this track because this has annoyed me. Now we've got Spark of the Flash. So, I thought this would be the Flash theme, and it is the Flash theme. It's just not Danny Elfman's Flash theme. This track is a blatant rip-off of the CW Flash theme by Blake Neely. It's so similar, I actually laughed out loud when I first heard it. I was expecting a properly nice Danny Elfman style Flash theme that could potentially bring the score up, but it's not. It's just a blatant rip-off of Blake Neely's one. I mean, I'll show you a comparison right now, and you guys can see what you think. Right, and now we go on to Friends and Foes, which is the next track on the score. So here, John Williams' Superman theme is used a great deal. Why is this here? I mean, I know why it's there. It's there for fans, it's used to appeal to fans because we want you to buy our soundtrack. But, it doesn't belong. The John Williams Superman theme of all things does not belong in a film with Henry Cavill Superman. Especially since Henry Cavill Superman has his own theme. Hans Zimmer made one in Man of Steel that was fantastic. Why is it not here? Why are you using John Williams' Superman theme when it just doesn't belong at all? It doesn't make any sense. It's blatant fan service. And it's purely there, I think, just for people to go in and go, oh, that's the Superman theme. But, it's not, there's no musical continuity, apart from the Wonder Woman theme. There's no musical continuity whatsoever. It looks like Danny Elfman's basically looked through all the themes and gone, fuck all of Hans Zimmer's shit. I'm going to use my own. And yeah, it's just, I personally don't think the John Williams Superman theme fits at all in this particular franchise. They should have used Hans Zimmer's one, and for the life of me I don't know why they didn't. So, the next track on the score is Justice League United. Now, here there is, it sounds anyway, like a more Justice League-y theme. It's about 10 seconds long, but it's actually quite memorable. And the particular notes that are used in this track, they are not used in Justice League theme. but they are used all over the score. Like, they're used in all the battle cues. The Justice League theme notes don't actually appear anywhere else, but the notes from Justice League United, which are a bit more memorable, and sound like the beginning of a memorable theme, are used quite a lot. So it's obviously, I think, the Justice League theme here, rather than in the Justice League theme title track at the beginning of the score. But again, it's literally just a couple notes. Where's the full cue? It's obviously, it's so tragic, because it starts off and you're thinking, oh, here we go, here's a memorable theme, and then it stops. You're like, why? As I said, it's like listening to the first 10 seconds of a Batman theme, or the Avengers theme. It's just, why is there not a full theme? This film is in dire need. This score is in dire need of a Justice League theme. And it's just not there. And I know I've said this, but it's just disappointing. So then we go on to, in my opinion, the least worst cue of the score, and that is the final battle. A lot of the themes come together here. You've got the 1989 Batman theme that's used quite nicely. Even though it doesn't belong on the score at all, it is used quite nicely. And a few Justice League notes dotted around here and there. The Flash theme, the John Williams Superman theme, they all come together here. And they are used quite nicely. Like, credit where credit's due, Danny Elfman, you have made a nice cue here. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that one. And then one of the last ones on the score is A New Hope. Star Wars reference. And it's just kind of a wrapping up cue. It's very reminiscent of like the last cue on the scores for Danny Elfman's soundtracks. You know, they're obviously wrapping the film up and concluding. There is a weird use of like a Mexican Spanish style kind of guitar riff in here, which sounds really odd and out of place. And actually, before we go on to the conclusion, I'm just going to go back to the final battle, because there's something I want to address in there. In the final battle, about a couple minutes in, there is a few notes that are blatantly lifted from Avengers Age of Ultron. Like, they're so blatant, it takes you right out of the emotion, as I said earlier. But yeah, it's just blatant. That's obviously the Avengers Age of Ultron. And you're like, why? And it's that, and there's a few other bits and pieces around the score that are very reminiscent of it. And this was obviously Danny Elfman's previous superhero score, so it seems to me anyway that he's lifted a few of his cues from that score and put them in Justice League. And they're two different superhero teams. Why would you do that? And so blatantly as well. It doesn't make any sense, and it's just another nail in the coffin. So, to conclude then, the Justice League theme, it should have been longer, and it should have been more memorable. There's so much potential in that theme, in the few notes we see, and it's just not expanded on or used, and it's so disappointing. The Batman theme, the 1989 one, is used way too much in the score, and it just overshadows everything, because it is a fantastic theme. You know, I love it. I think I have the Batman Returns and Batman scores, because they're great, you know, they're fantastic. But because it's fantastic, it's used so much in the score, it just overshadows everything, including the Justice League theme. So the only thing you're going to come out of the cinema humming is the Batman theme, because there's nothing else memorable about the score. If they had a decent Justice League theme used in conjunction with Batman, it would work really well. You know, I may disagree with the use of the 1989 Batman theme, but it is used in good places on the score. I think that combined with a memorable Justice League theme would have actually made for a decent score, or at least a better one. Same with the John Williams Superman theme. I mean, granted, it isn't actually used that much in the score, but it really shouldn't be there, to be quite honest. I think the Hans Zimmer theme would actually have been better, because it fits better with Henry Cavill's Superman. And to be honest, it's probably used better. Like, there's a number of cues on the score which sound like, they're trying to bring up hope and get Superman to fight with them or something like that. I don't know, I haven't seen the film. And like, it's such a perfect time to use the Superman theme by Hans Zimmer, and they just don't use it. Instead, you just get generic, hopeful sounding music. And you're like, come on, that was such a perfect time, and you didn't do it. So, moving on. The Flash theme by Blake Neely is blatantly ripped off as the Spark of the Flash, Justice League Flash theme. It's just blatant, and it's disappointing. The Wonder Woman theme is used, but it's not used greatly. I mean, it's pretty much not used at all, other than in the Wonder Woman Rescue track. There's no real themes for Cyborg and Aquaman that I can really hear. Certainly no memorable ones. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say about this score, to be quite honest. The classic themes by Elfman and Superman and Williams, were used too much, and when you take them away, all you've got is a bland superhero score that's about as memorable as some sand. It's, you know what I mean? It's just not memorable in the slightest. And it's so disappointing, because this was the one film this year that should have been really, really good score-wise, and it's just not. And it's so utterly disappointing. I mean, compare it to the Avengers score. It's got a really catchy main theme that you come out the cinema humming. The rest of the score is not brilliant. There's a couple of good battle cues in there. But that's all you really need. All this film, this score, just needs a memorable main theme. Or a main theme, because there just isn't one. But yeah, I'm done. I've talked for 20 minutes. My voice hurts. And I'm just tired and disappointed. Hopefully Star Wars, The Last Jedi will be good. And that'll kind of cheer me up a bit. Because I'm so utterly disappointed by this score. Right, so I gotta give this a score out of 10. I'm gonna give it about a 3. And I think that's being generous, to be quite honest. So to conclude, this score is bland and is overshadowed by previous themes that don't belong in the score at all. It's literally just tripe. Don't buy it.